Okay. Big Red's looking mighty frosty. Today's the day. Poor Big Red has been abandoned various places around the house and the property for the last, well, the better part of the last year. So today is the day we fix everything mechanically wrong with Big Red. Now in this episode, I'm not gonna actually ask you to subscribe, comment, give us a share, give us a thumbs up, all that stuff, because I'm gonna say thank you to everybody who has subscribed, because we just ticked over 5,000 subscribers. That's not a big deal to the, big YouTube channels, but to the little guy like me just trying to do his thing, that's something. So thank you guys. Really quick, I said I was going to talk about this and why we're this, and this is our channel, and it has been from the beginning, and it will be whether anybody likes it or not. The support from you guys for the Thin Blue Line and stuff that I do here is overwhelming, but there's always a teeny tiny little tiny contingent that will just comment on stuff to stir the pot and say things like, I don't remember, this is a gang sign, take that stuff down and I'll subscribe. Nah, we're good.
I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
We're good. You can go fling poo somewhere else, bud. We don't need you. So we're not going to change. Okay. Anyway, why did we do all this? Well, I, and probably you, if you're watching this, was raised, right, by good parents that support law and order and the police and being a good human and being moral. And so me and my family have always supported the police. Now, I decided to really make it a part of my channel because a little over 10 years ago, I started the journey to myself become a police officer, and I ended up becoming a deputy sheriff, and I have been for about 9 years and 8 months. And at this time, I currently technically still am, but I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a member of the search and rescue team, the boat crew. I've been a field training officer. I've been a CIT Academy instructor. I'm also peer support for my agency, and I'm also a member of CISM, which is a critical incident stress management team, which handles a debrief after critical incidents. I mean, duh, it's in the name, but major things, some kind of mass casualty thing, some kind of officer involved shooting, stuff like that. I'm currently on leave right now, and I have been for the last 4 months. I'm not going to get into it too much right now. I'm having a good day and I'm doing well. And so I wanted to make this video and talk about some things and talk about why I do this, where I've been, and things that I do that help me. Obviously, this has always been my kind of self-care, is building. Going on right now is I'm basically being forced to medically retire, and that's all still playing out, and it's taken, it's been 4 months. It's taken forever in my mind, and probably theirs too, and I don't want to get into it too much, but I've been in 2 officer involved shootings, and this very last one I was in is what this is all brought this to a head and what this is all about. So anyway, that's what I've done, and stuff that is really helping me right now that's good for me that might help you too is things like EMDR therapy. If you've never heard of that, it's not voodoo magic. There's science behind it, and it's about retraining your brain to reprocess events that were traumatic and are causing you problems. So that is good stuff. Music has also been very helpful for me. I've always been into music. I've been in several bands. I've played guitar since I was about 15 years old, which is like at least, 10 years that I've been playing. listening to music while I'm working on stuff, so you'll probably see me in videos with earbuds in a lot. Jamming music loud when I go for a walk. Yeah, I know that's not the safest thing because you can't hear, but that is really cathartic and helpful. You know, we support the police on this channel. What exactly does that mean, and what can you do to help out the police officers that are out there, you know, risking their lives and doing the thing and doing great things? But first I want to talk about the reason I wanted to put out this video now and talk about some of this stuff is something that hit close to home. So last week, on February 13th, there was a police sergeant in Sheridan, Wyoming that was killed in the line of duty. He was shot and killed by somebody that he was trying to evict or give an eviction or no trespass warning to. So we are going to do our Officer Down tribute on this video for him, which we have done in almost the whole time the channel's been going on. So here's that. Sergeant Nevada Krinky, I believe I'm saying that right. If not, I apologize profusely to the family. His end of watch was February 13th, 2024, which was last Tuesday. Sergeant Krinky was a military veteran and a 6.5-year police veteran of the Sheridan Police Department in Sheridan, Wyoming. He was shot and killed last Tuesday by a several-time felon loser who won't be named here. After a prolonged standoff, the suspect was ultimately shot and killed. I'm not even going to say suspect. I'm going to say the perp, because he's not suspected of anything. He did it. The perp was ultimately killed by other officers who had arrived to assist. Sergeant Krinky leaves behind his wife and their infant daughter. Sergeant Krinky, thank you for your service. We never really talk about what you can do to support police officers yourself as a citizen, as a voter. Something that people don't often talk about is all of the support people and the people that police officers hand the ball to take and carry that let them down on a constant basis. And it's not just around here, it's all over the place. Just watch the news. Guys like this dirtbag that killed Sergeant Krinky has been doing crimes since the early 90s. He shouldn't have been on the street. We can't give everybody probation and 67 chances to get it right. That's not helping anybody. It's not helping the perpetrator. It's not helping keep the community safe. And it's not helping your police officers who have to deal with the same people over and over who should be in jail and staying there for some period of time. So if you want to know what you can do is the people that make these decisions and run these things at the higher level are your city councils, county commissioners, sheriffs who are elected officials, and the police chiefs who are appointed by the city council in your city if you live in a city. So those people, also your district court judges, who deal with felonies, are elected, as are your county prosecutors, right? The head prosecutor for your county is an elected person. If they're not doing it and they're giving everybody a slap on the wrist and they are not helping make your community safer, get them out of there and get somebody else in there that will do something. There is a big time above the police officer level in this country. There's a big time lack of testicular fortitude in this country. And I don't know how else to say it. That's why things are as bad as they are. I mean, we're not talking about people that are shoplifting here and getting a slap on the wrist. We're talking about violent felons. Oftentimes violent felonies against police officers, and nobody's being held accountable. And you know what? When they're in prison or they're in jail, they can't hurt other people out in the community. So, sorry. I know that's a little ranty, but that's the God's honest truth. If you want to help out the police in this country, that's what you can do. Real quick, I wanted to say, with the stuff I've been dealing with, resources. So there's peer support, usually at your agency. You should know who that is. If you don't, ask the people that do CIT or CISM. it's probably them, or they probably know who. The EMDR therapy, a good therapist is just crucial to making it through some of this stuff. And what else? Oh, thewoundedblue.com is somebody that I reached out and talked to some peer support guys from there. I'll leave their info along with anything else I have in the description. Not good at that, I know. Okay, sorry to get all heavy on you on a Wednesday. I don't know what day you're watching this. But anyway, I wanted to get that out, and that's what I feel comfortable talking about for now, so that's what we'll do. Now, some of this footage is going to be old because this issue with the transmission going into limp mode has been kicking my ass for the better part of the last year.
Kicking my ass, T-Bone!
This is kind of an overly complicated system, which makes it hard to diagnose issues. So I'm going to leave all that stuff in there. So maybe it helps somebody if they have a different problem. My problem ended up being the gauge cluster itself, in that it would lose the vehicle speed sensor output from the gauge to the computer, because the way this system works, it's the RABS system, rear ABS. So there's a tone ring and a sensor in the rear end, which I showed you, or will show you here. And that picks up the vehicle speed. It sends it to the ABS module down in the frame rail, which I showed you. And then from there, it goes up to the speedometer module here. Now this interprets that signal that's AC voltage, like I showed you. Okay, what I didn't show you before was this. I've got my volt meter on the hood set to AC volts, and I am hooked into the ABS diagnostic connector right there. There is a cap right here that you have to pop out. And what I had before at 30 miles an hour was about 1.8 AC volts, and you should have about 3.5. So your AC volts should increase steadily with speed. This is per the Ford manual, and you should have about 3.5 volts AC at 30 miles an hour on the speedometer. So that's not what we had. So let's take a look and see what we have now. Into speed, and what it also does is outputs that to the ECM, the vehicle computer, which is right down there. Nope, that's not it. That's the firewall connector. It's right down there underneath the cruise control module. And what you have to do is take that 10 millimeter out, the plug comes out, and then you take some screws out of the fender well liner here, and you can actually slide that out. And that is what I did before I did this, where I took it apart and looked at it for any corrosion or damage and didn't find any. I have not had the transmission go into limp mode since I swapped to this gauge cluster from the junkyard. Who fucking knows at this point? This is my work truck. This is not supposed to be the one that needs worked on. Well, just doing a late fall service on Big Red, which you can see is going swimmingly. I guess it's late summer. We're getting ready for fall. We've been using Big Red again for pulling trailers and stuff, so it's time to change the oil, rotate the tires, and I've been needing to get a look at the back brakes. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy that I bought this from, but he was in Cody, so we'll say he's Buffalo Bill. So I don't know what Buffalo Bill used to tighten these back, but whatever he used all of it. So my 1/2-inch impact wouldn't touch him. I had to get out the big old breaker bar. So yeah, this is, you know, just a quick, easy job on a Saturday afternoon. No big deal. Change some Earl, check the fluids, rotate the tires, check the back brakes. And I am still pissing around with wheel speed sensor, ABS, speedo cluster, something issues, because I haven't had it go into limp mode again on the transmission, which, if I didn't say, the only code that it would ever throw is vehicle speed sensor codes. But the speedometer works fine. So I'll bring you in when I get a look at the back brakes. Then we're going to go take this on a test drive and hit the same big speed bump that threw us into limp mode last time. This wheel was stuck on here like Chuck, so I just got done kicking and wiggling it off of there, which is, you know, hopefully the last part of our garage workout. Now, luckily, see, some of these Dana 60, I'm pretty sure this is Dana 60. Some of the older ones, the studs are actually pressed into the wheel hub flange, which is on the outside of the drum, and you have to actually take the wheel bearings apart. Luckily, this isn't one of those, so should, in theory, be able to just do some of this action. Okay, that guy is going to require heat to come off, which I don't have, so we're just going to assume that it's fine, just like the other side. Now, here's a pro tip. If you're like me and you don't have center caps, or your back ones are missing, give those a quick clean while you got the wheels off on the front. Mask off your chrome lockout hubs. Just give them a quick one of these. Lay it on there, you know, plenty thick. Chill. Beautiful. Just be real careful when you put your wheels back on there so you don't skin that new paint right off of there. So if your twin traction beam front end kind of wanders to and fro and makes lots of nasty poppy creaky noises, definitely take a look at these guys. These are your traction beam pivot bushings. As you can see, this one is kind of pivoted its last pivot. I should be able to get them out and press back in with like a ball joint press, but we're going to make sure I have the right ones before I go getting after these guys with the air chisel. Okay, several reasons to have a freezer in your shop. Mostly we have it for overflow foodstuffs. Also, ice cream snacks. See, there you go. Ice cream. Also, these bushings. Hopefully, we're going to clean that up with a file, and hopefully they're going to squawk right in there. Anywho, I didn't have time to show you because I didn't want it to heat up on me, but that went in slicker than snot. I thought I was going to have to pull it in with a bolt or even get a ball joint press from the O'Reilly, but started it with my mallet and then a hammer and a socket, and then just tapped it in the rest of the way with a punch just around the edge here. And you can see she peeking out the other side. So I'll try to show you a little bit of the other one. No guarantees. No guarantees, because that's just kind of how my day's going. Okay, this one's going to be a little trickier, so here we go. I got these guys. I got this glove on to keep my meat hand from warming this thing up, because we're gonna have to kind of squeeze this one in. We can't get at the front side to pound it, so we're gonna have to go real fast. Here we go. If I drop the phone, it was nice knowing you. I did what I had to do. Oh my goodness, look at that butter. Okay, I'll just show you a little bit what I'm trying to do here, and then I'll let you know if it actually works. If this doesn't work, plan B is going to be pulling it in with a nut and a bolt. You can tell my commitment level about this being fixed because I haven't even put the cluster surround back on or had the mileage programmed on this junkyard gauge cluster. That's how committed I am that this is fixed. The ABS light did go off, which is interesting. So let's make a little test drive loop and see what happens. Then we'll go eat our Jimmy John's Caesar chicken wrap. Big Red, he's been a good truck, except for when he's in limp mode. That really sucks. Okay, back to the scene of the crime. Shocker, it happened in a trailer court. There's a speed bump somewhere, like on this block. And we hit it a little bit spicy, so that's what we're gonna do. Oh, yep. Nice neighborhood. I'd love to have a house in this neighborhood, but I don't have $750,000. Oh, that was a good one. Okay, since we're in here, we're talking about speedometer stuff. I'll show you. You'll see the mileage is now correct. Again, that other cluster had like 194,000 on it. This is my original cluster that while the junkyard one was working, I sent to Cluster Fix in Washington and had them rebuild it. So since we're talking about the speedometer odometer module, which was the problem, I'll show you real quick how to do a self-test on those. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is hold the reset button, cycle the key on. So this is how you do a self-test. And what it's telling me right now is E for English. 8 means there's 8 changes left that you can change the calibration for the tire size. And the 6, I'm not sure what that is, but you saw the gauge sweep. So that's how you do a self-test. And then once I got that sorted out, he started leaking coolant profusely. I'm going to show you really quick what limp mode is. Limp mode on your transmission is when it goes into a fault mode, and to protect itself, and what you'll notice is the overdrive button. I'm just going to click this here, but this is what it does. You'll notice the button blinking like this. That's limp mode. And what you'll notice is the transmission will shift late, like at high RPM with all the line pressure. So it's going to be a late shift and it's going to be really harsh. And that's what it does when it doesn't know what's going on with the vehicle to protect itself. In my case, it was losing the vehicle speed sensor signal. So if it doesn't know how fast you're going, it just defaults to these limp mode shift strategies. They're difficult to diagnose, but that's fixed. I got that fixed and was running and driving good. And then end of the fall, as I was pulling trailers, you'll see Big Red a little bit in the Crusher Meat episode. On the donor truck Super Duty for this, and then you won't see it. You'll see other trucks because this happened. So this has finally reared its ugly head enough that I could figure out where it's coming from. And now it is getting real bad. And I need to pull a trailer a couple 100 miles tomorrow to go get a new vehicle. The sometimes there, sometimes not coolant leak at the timing cover finally showed itself. I was pulling a trailer coming back from the junkyard coming back from the scrapyard with stuff. Worst timing, of course. So I ordered a pile of parts to fix all this stuff, and they've been on the shelf back there until I pulled them out to verify they were all right. Nope, they weren't. And started working on Big Red, which we will bring you to here. Okay, so it's not the big block I wanted to do an episode on, but it's the one that we have to do an episode on. So I didn't really film tearing it down because I was visiting with my dad. He stopped by. But what you do, you take off the fan and shroud together, get those out of there, and then belts, front accessory brackets, pulleys, and then you can get to the water pump. So I pulled the timing cover off first and did that. And I did go ahead and get a new water pump even though it wasn't leaking, which is good because when I spun it with the pulley off of it, it was crunchy. So it was about to go also. So I'll show you working on the front end here, cleaning it up for a gasket, checking out the timing chain. And then once that was all cleaned up and done, we went ahead and dropped the oil pan, which is not easy to film, and it's all underneath, and so it's also very frustrating. Well, I got wrong autoed. It's the first time for me, but working on Big Red, my 97 OBS Ford, big block, of course. Stuff's been sitting on the shelf for a couple months and pulled it down to start replacing. That's just the water pump I checked. It does appear to be the right water pump. But here's my old alternator. I think this is the 95 amp 3G, I believe. Note the mounting. And this is the one that Wrong Auto lists for this truck with the big block. See that? Yeah, that says 91 to 01 Ford Explorer 4 liter. And I double checked on the website. That is the part number that they show. And as you can see, this guy, yeah, nah, no. Here's what we got going on here. So, I haven't had to try myself, but I have it on good authority that they are not great with returns. Haven't tried that myself, so I mean, if I'm wrong about that, feel free to correct me in the comments, but here's what we're gonna see. So most of these alternators this generation are basically the same, and I'm looking at the back of it here, okay? So if the regulator's pointed like this, small plug there, power there, yes. Does the plug on the regulator looks the same? And all the mounting stuff, it does, the way you tell the lower output to the higher is these 4 holes, which they both have. This, that's not alternator juice. This one became liquid cooled as I was removing the heater hose. Kind of got filled up with antifreeze. So, okay, so just like I thought, the mounting ears on this guy all come off the front part of the case. So, what I hope and believe is that we can take this one apart, clean up the front case on it, and put the front case on this guy, and we'll have our brand new alternator. So Yep, there's the part number. If you're in a pinch and you got wrong autoed and you want to still get your truck running, you should be able to do that. Let's find out. It should go without saying, but don't try this at home, folks. Well, or do try it at home. I mean, you're adults, right? Unless you're not. I thought this was America. Hi-ya! Ha, ha, ha. So let's give it a little persuasion. Warranty void. Warranty void. Oh yeah, look at that. Beauty. She just comes right off of there. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God cut you down. All right, this alternator is at the F around portion of the show. It is now about to be in the find out portion of the show. The wrestler, the gambler, the backbiter. How? How? Ha ha! Oh, that's not supposed to. That's probably. Still, look at that. Still a good core. Still good. This was supposed to stay with that other part. Okay, we'll be back after these commercial messages from our sponsors that we don't have. Okay, real quick. Working on the OBS big block truck right next to my dent side, soon to be big block truck, and taking the timing cover off because the gasket's leaking behind it. Now when you take the crank pulley off, I've already got this peeled out of here most of the way. This Woodruff key that is for the crank pulley, you need to take out to be able to get this balance counterweight off, because the keyway on that one is in a different spot. So pried that out with a pry bar. There you go. Now this guy will slide right off because you can see the keyway for it is like 180 degrees off from the other one. So you got to get it out of the way. There's that, and then this guy should just pull right off. Boom. There's your OBS big block Ford tip. When I first started out as a tech in the early 2000s, I worked on these a lot because I worked at a four-wheel drive shop that primarily dealt with Fords. Fun fact, that's where I built that truck the first time. Lift kit, engine, all that stuff when I worked there. D's four-wheel drive in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in case you're curious. But a couple things here. Doing a timing cover gasket because I finally found my mystery coolant leak. They're kind of a booger to figure out because it'll generally weep a little bit here and you can't quite tell where it's coming from. You can see the front of that block has had like rust staining going on for quite a while. I couldn't figure it out until finally it started pooling right here by the distributor. So if you have coolant there and it's not the front of the intake or the thermostat, it's the timing cover. If you're wondering how clean you should have your gasket surfaces, about that clean. So I'm going to show you a couple things how to check timing chain. Oh, hi. Timing chain deflection and how to clean your gasket surface. So I can't really show you for the deflection. I can't measure it while I'm showing you because the Lord only gave me 2 hands. But what you do is you put a straight edge against your cam and crank gear, and then you take another straight edge and push in on the chain like that, and like a 1/2 inch is the limit. I could already tell by kind of just playing with this one after seeing a bunch of them that it's good. When I measured it, I have like a 1/4 inch of deflection. So timing chain somewhere over there, but I'm not going to put it on. We'll probably throw it up on Marketplace. Also, when you're cleaning your gasket surfaces, a good razor blade or a super scraper like that one guy sells, wire wheel on a drill, and if you still have the oil pan on, cover it up with plastic or stuff a bunch of rags in there to keep junk from getting down in there. I did have a plastic bag over the timing chain, but my drill caught it and just shredded it, so you will get stuff on there if you don't have something covering it. And I just blew it out real good with air, wiped down the surfaces. What you don't want to do is be a knucklehead like a lot of people used to do back in the day. Where is my... Also, let me know what you guys call these things. I've heard all kinds of names for them. Don't take your this guy, spin it up to about 8,000 RPM and just dig in there. A lot of guys ruined a lot of gasket surfaces like that back in the day. I've always called those things angle grinder. Grizz grinder is what one of my old bosses called it. A whirly bird, I've also heard. You know, the little gasket cookie guy. Anyway. Water pump. I painted it before I threw it on. And then I got a silicone smear booger on there. But anyway, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts that look like that and go in those places go into blind holes in the timing cover. So I already have the backing plate and gaskets. Don't forget the backing plate. You need to steal that from your old water pump or you're going to have problems. If you want more info about the 460 timing chain, timing cover, all that stuff, I'll put a link up for that 460 build series of that engine there, which is going this truck here, hopefully within the next week. That's probably not going to happen. So there's the rest of my bolts I need to clean up. But anyway, this is all ready to go with the new seal knocked in there and everything. So if your surfaces are pitted, which they probably are on an old truck, just put a little thin layer of silicone on there. And we're going to do that on the block to glue the gasket on there. You can also use high-tack or high-tack sealant, but I prefer to just mostly use that on intake gaskets, and RTV works good too, and that's what I have, so that's what we're gonna use. Okay, wow, I got kind of crazy here. Here's a couple more tips for you, quick tips, while I'm thinking about it, and then I'm gonna get to cleaning up this oil pan. So when you're doing the oil pan gasket, let's see if I can get you where you can, okay. Take the motor mount nuts off. There's 2 on each side on a big block. Jack the engine up. I used a cherry picker on the front, and then put wood blocks in between the put wood blocks in between the motor mount and the perch that it sits on to hold the motor up. Because these engines, these trucks have that cross member that goes all the way under, so you don't have enough room to get the oil pan out. Also, when you get new oil pan gaskets, get the rubber steel reinforced one piece, just like stock, because they're the best ones. Get in there, you little... Okay. Anyway, you can see this oil pan and the rear main situation. They've been leaking for a minute. Couple more tips. You have to take the oil pump off because it sits in here like this, and this will hit the front and bottom of the oil pan right there, and it won't let you get it out. It won't let you get the oil pan out from under the engine. So there's 2 bolts here, and then the nut for the pickup there, you got to take those off. They just fall in the pan. That's fine. And then also, see the milky goo in the front there? And the sludge and junk? That's water. And what that's from is on Fords, when you drop the timing cover, when you take the timing cover off, even if you've done a pretty good job draining out all the water, it will drop some in there. So if you're not pulling the oil pan when you do this, dump some fresh oil down in there before you put the timing cover back on, and then drain the oil again. Just, you got to rinse all this junk out of there, because that ain't going to be good for your motor. But we have the oil pan off, so we're going to be able to clean it real nice. So I got about an hour of scraping and cleaning on this guy, so you guys don't need to see that. So I'll bring you back when we're ready to put it back in and show you a couple things. Oh yeah, we got the rear main to do also, the rear main seal. Okay, rear main seal, here's our bearing. Clean the cap judiciously, and then you need to put just a little dab of silicone at the corners, or it will weep oil out past the cap. Got our new seal in there, old one's out. We got the other half right there that we need to roll in to the block, but the little tab guy on there ain't gonna live, so I'm gonna have to shave that off real quick. We'll oil this up and slick it in the block. Bring you back when we're putting that guy on. Okay, I couldn't really show you this while I was doing it because I'm under the truck playing proctologist, but there's the main cap back on. You can see I still got a greasy mess to clean up, but the main cap's nice and clean. Make sure you offset your seal like I showed you. So this side on the cap was poking up about a half inch, was poking up about a 1/4 inch, and this side I left sticking out of the block about a 1/4 inch. You don't have to, but you're offsetting the split where the seal is from the parting line of the bearing. So if oil was to leak through there, it would have to go through the split in the seal around. And anyway, that's what they say. I don't know who they is, but this thing is in about as good a shape as you could ask for the miles that are on it. She is a cream puff. I'm gonna torque those to 100 foot-pounds, and then I'm probably calling it for tonight, because I have scraped enough goo and grease for today. Okay, back out in the shop here the following day. Got my nice one-piece Velcro gasket, which you're supposed to put on dry, but you really can't when you're doing it in the truck, because it won't stay there. Do you guys remember when Velcro used to give you these guys, and you thread them into the corner holes of the block? These are for a small block, which ironically has bigger bolts, like 3/8 bolts on the corners. So anyway, you thread this up into the block, and then I don't know if I can show you this one-handed, but you slide the gasket over it and it snaps on right here, and that holds it up, and then you can slide the oil pan on it too and snap it on there. So that's how you keep your gasket in place. They didn't give me any for this. I have none that size, so what we're going to try to do is glue it on there with some RTV and then slip the oil pan in there and put it up. Got a new balancer, new harmonic balancer, and by new I mean I restored it with this and this. Oil pan's all cleaned up, just needs a quick wipe out. Good enough for who it's for and what they're paying. You can see I just need to wipe a couple spots on the inside, but this is what your oil pan should look like, ideally. The more I dig into this engine, man, I just can't believe what good shape it's in. So, get started, and I'm gonna put you on the time lapse. Here we go. real quick so that I don't get copyrighted. This is how I am lifting the engine up to get my wood blocks back out. I actually heard at least one of them just fall out on its own when I cranked up the cherry picker. Yep, there it is. Right there. So, get you out of there. Try not to have your hands in between there any longer than you need to in case the strap breaks. Cool. All right. That was the room we needed to get this job done, so we will set her back down on the motor mounts and get those zipped down and roll the truck back forward a little bit, because Big Red is so long that to use the cherry picker in the front, I gotta hang the butt out the door. Valve cover gaskets, which are just a peach on EFI trucks. I had to disconnect one end of the EGR tube to get the driver's side valve cover in and out, which was several hours of swearing and frustration that I didn't record. Okay, the GoPro died at some point, but we're looking pretty complete here on Big Red. Now we're just doing the tune-up, and I was gonna have a hot tip for you about how you mark your old spark plug wires, pull them all off, lay them out from longest to shortest, and then sort your new ones from longest to shortest. And I started doing that, and I noticed these NGK wires are numbered for every cylinder. So sweet. I also didn't know they were Ford Racing Hot Boy Blue, but I guess it is what it is. They're here now. So the cap and rotor on Big Red are already new, as are the plugs and the fuel filter. The plug wires are the last thing that needed to get done for the tune-up. And then I think we can reconnect the exhaust back up from the intake hose on this bad boy, and time for a test drive. Here we go. Had a nasty squealing noise. Thought it was my new, sort of rebuilt by me, alternator. Or the new water pump. Nope, took the belts off. Still makes the noise. Here, I'll show you real quick. The only thing turning right now is the crankshaft, and I could feel the vibration in the timing cover. So, you know, I just had all that off, so I had a mild heart attack, no big deal. But I thought to myself, don't panic. Okay, so have a look. Problem. I thought, are the crank bolts too long? And then I saw this on my freshly repainted balancer, and then had a look right up there. Timing pointer got bent, scraping on the balancer. Easy enough. Guess who doesn't drip on the driveway anymore? Okay, Big Red's been sitting out here for about a week and a half after the repairs, so let's get a cold start. Okay, I'm gonna have you back her out. Straight. Back straight up. Here's a lesson for you millennials, and whatever the thing is after millennials. Hub right there. See where it says free and lock? Turn it clockwise to lock. Okay, same thing. Okay, now see the shift pattern on the stick on the floor? Yeah. Just give it a... Well, don't break it. Did it go back one? Is your four-wheel light on the dash?
4x4.
Yeah. Then that means that's all it takes. Okay, now just put it in reverse. Ease on it. Yeah, start turning to the right. Whoa! Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Driving lessons in Big Red.
Yeah,
So
not not the ideal vehicle for that.
It is the ideal vehicle
Well,
for that, because other ones will be easy.
Well, to you, yeah, but
You're good. With my help, you could be the best.
With my help, he could be the best.
So that's it mechanically for Big Red. Other than the front end, the spring bushings are shot and the springs are sagged, but I'm on the fence about what to do about that, because new front springs with new bushings in them are like $1,000. Rough Country 4-inch lift kit is like $600 for all the way around with shocks. Either that or it's new bushings and add-a-leafs in the front. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. I kind of think that I should keep this thing grandpa fresh, because that's kind of what it's like. It's like the work truck that your grandpa had in the 90s, basically. Look at that thing. What a unit. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate your support, and we will see you next time with Ford truck content of some kind or another. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.